My name is Paul Runge. I'm MD of Africa Project Access. And just to introduce myself a little bit, before I go through some of the housekeeping and the introduction, is I assist about 145 companies with early alerts of projects throughout sub-Saharan Africa, outside South Africa. Why outside South Africa? Because most of my clients are based here, and the export managers, they're not responsible for South Africa. So I'll do everything from Lesotho, Swaziland, right up to Sudan and the Indian Ocean Islands. I speak several languages, and I'm used to doing this. Obviously, power is a major priority, so I have quite a lot of power projects. We identify the greenfields, brownfields projects, and we supply them to our clients, kind of like an early alert system of projects in sub-Saharan Africa. In so doing, it means a lot of in-market visits, and I'm constantly traveling in the market. If I'm not moving around, as I say to my clients, if I'm in the office too long, something's wrong. And of course, doing this kind of thing, and also assisting with assignments, doing a lot of assignments. I just want to also write for several publications and wear various hats. But the main thing is the Africa Project Access. Now, I just want to go through a couple of program changes and so on. As you've heard from Sam, that the Honourable Minister cannot be with us. She has appointed a very senior representative to take her place, and you will hear about that now. And that is basically that I'm doing the opening, then at 9 o'clock, Andrew Etzinger, Senior General Manager at Eskom for Integrated Demand Management, will be addressing us. He'll be the first speaker of the day after I've done the intro. And then at 9:30, Dr. Woolsley Otto Barnard, Deputy DG at the Department of Energy, responsible for energy programs and projects, is going to address us. So we're rather lucky to have hands-on people that will be talking to us just now. And then we're going to all quit the hall and go and look at the various exhibitions that are on. For example, there's one on this level. There's also clean energy on level -2, and sustainable and sustain and build is on this level, and then also at -2 is the main one, and level 0 there's also one. So there's quite a few exhibitions to go and have a look at, but the main one's on level -2. So we'll leave the room there to attend the opening and have a look at the stands and give us a chance to do that. The other program change is at 2 o'clock, where Chris Faulkner cannot make it from Breitling Oil, and I will take his place going through project trends. As I live, eat, sleep projects all day long, I'll basically go through project trends and highlight them where I'm actually seeing it on the ground happening in the power and energy sectors. Then don't forget, as Sam said, there's a cocktail at level 1, level -1. There's a dinner in the Marula Room in the Santon Sun. Later on, that's the awards dinner that you should be pre-registered for. If you are confused, just go to the desks there that where you're registered and ask. And I just want to reiterate, as often happens at these things, I do not work for Terrapin. So any kind of admin questions or whatever, please address them to Terrapin rather than myself. If there's something to do with the program or speakers or something like that, then I'm very happy to assist. And also tomorrow, I'm certainly going to be here because there are 2 streams which are very interesting. One is for gas and one is for clean technology. And these will be smaller meetings, round table sort of discussions, I imagine. But they look very good, so I could recommend that to you. Right, let me just make a few initial remarks and before we ask Andrew to address us. You know, I hate doing this because, you know, you often go to conferences and you hear, oh, you know, there's so much to be done in Africa and Africa's so behind and all of that. I'm not an optimist, I'm not a pessimist, I'm just a realist. As I travel around the continent now, and I've just been in Twara in southern Tanzania, for example, I'm amazed. I have never, guys, in the over 30 years of running around this continent, I've never seen a project flow like today. I can honestly say that. Not only from a point of view of quantity, but quality as well. There is a lot going on. And it's very exciting, but it's also very challenging. Why? Because if I can put on a South African hat quickly, I know a lot of you in this room are not South Africans, and I respect that, but I just need to say to my South African colleagues, the competition is very fierce. The situation has globalized. If we get in a plane and we go 1.5 hours up the road here to Tet in Mozambique, who do we find there? We find Australia, UK, Rio Tinto. We find Vale from Brazil. We find Kazakhstan in the form of ENRC. The whole United Nations is sitting there. And it is very competitive, extremely competitive. And it is a time when, as an African, I really feel strongly that what we're experiencing basically now is a third scramble for Africa. The first was in the 1880s when they did those ridiculous borders that we still suffer from today in Berlin, far off Berlin. Nobody asked the Africans what they wanted. And then in 1960s, when there was a scramble with the against the backdrop of the East-West conflict when the colonial rules came to an end, starting with Ghana. So that was another scramble. Today, there's a third scramble. This scramble is rather different. This one is based on resources. Basically, Africa is I see it all the time. I'm not being theoretical about this. It's a treasure trove. We are the last bastion. We have what the world wants. Gas and coal and iron ore and all of that, and agricultural commodities, not to be forgotten either. Lots of agricultural potential. So it's absolutely a scramble, and it means that we have to start thinking very differently and working very differently. For a start, we have to ensure that this time round, there's going to be sufficient local beneficiation, that we're not going to allow our resources to be taken without local benefit, without employment, transfer of technology, all those good things. And I'm pleased to see that many of our African leaders are insisting very strongly on that. A good example is Michael Sata in Zambia. He's very strong on that. It was part of his campaign, his presidential campaign. So it's in Zambia now. You've got to really, this creates an opportunity for those of you involved in corporate social investment work, the so-called soft issues, which are really hard issues. You've got a lot of work right now, because wherever we go, a lot of our resources projects are remote site, and therefore it's going to impact enormously on rural populations. And most of Africa is still rural, despite the urbanizations, and that means that there's a lot, honestly, the social impact and physical environment impact of what you do from an investment point of view as you go into Africa is vital. If you don't look after these issues, it's going to bite you in the backside later on. For example, in Tet there were disturbances recently, dissatisfaction over the fact that all these big projects are happening and the locals are not seeing the benefit. It's a real issue. And throughout what we discussed today, and I know it might not come up during today, but at least I've marked that because I think it's very, very important. So your project planning, your project management has to take this very seriously into account. It's not business as usual. Another thing to do with the globalization of the situation is a strong need for all of us to form into complementary consortia. The way we're doing it now is more and more in consortia. The ideas of just, as we say in good South African English, dollering in are coming to an end. There has to be more consortia building, and I see that a lot amongst my clients. I'm seeing, and it goes cross-national as well. Whatever cuts the cake works. So there's a lot of people working in consortia up the project food chain, from supplier to contractor to consultant to pre-feasibility, and then of course your financial agencies, which are also much more complex than before. I mean, I think of the whole project finance field today compared to 15 years ago. We're sitting with sovereign wealth funds coming out of Africa as well. We got bond issues like the successful one done by Zambia and Rwanda and Nigeria preparing, and so on, in Namibia as well. So it's much more complex. There are more players out there. Equity funds, I've got equity funds coming out of my ears. There are just so many new equity funds being created. So one of them I have specializes in green energy, and it'll only do projects or fund projects in equity, take equity in projects where the green principles are applied. So it's quite complex. There are a lot of players. There's even angel investors around, if you can call them that. But like Sheikh Al-Moudi in Ethiopia, for example, he's managed to galvanize things, and so on. So it goes way beyond the traditional World Bank tender thing, and that's another issue. A lot of projects that are coming about now are unsolicited bids, a lot, because of what I've just been talking about. where an offer is made to a government that is so comprehensive and so enticing that it doesn't go out to everybody. So those of you who sit and wait for tenders to land on your desk, that'll still carry on. There will always be projects like that, of course. But the move, the shift is very much away towards and in favor of unsolicited bids, which means that events like this, where you can network, become very, very important. You've got to identify the players with whom you can find synergy.